What does racism look like to you?
To me, racism is contagious. It's one of those learned behaviors that children learn in their homes. And it really comes down to it being a defensive mechanism for certain people who have their own kind of self-doubt and self-esteem issues, and it really becomes that defense mechanism when they see others that they might be threatened by, and a lot of times it's the color of the skin. Oftentimes that kind of triggers those kind of emotions. I see racism as being an issue that has been long-standing. We often have learned at a young age through elementary what racism means and how we can go about preventing it within the school systems, and it becomes almost lost in a way that the teachings fall flat a little bit. And I think that we need to kind of move away from the traditional ways of talking about it, and it might be that more gentle, kind perspective that we often give it, and maybe it's that more aggressive, more forceful, this is what it is. And we can see lately in throughout the world all these more aggressive ways to deal with racism.
How have you experienced or witnessed racism?
With myself, I grew up going to a non-Indigenous school throughout the majority of my childhood. And there was oftentimes, you don't really realize at a young age, you don't really realize until you're older looking back, and kind of some of those situations that you were put in. And I think one of the biggest things that stands out for me is that feeling of being overlooked and being second guessed for things that I had the capability or abilities to do. And then moving into working and then going to school in the larger post-secondary environments, you still come across that. There's a loud voice of the non-minority groups that are often heard, but unfortunately, it's those minority groups that are still silent and kind of being lessened by others.
How do you say no to racism?
I think it really is about talking about it. Personally, for myself, it's letting others know around me, letting my family know, letting my children know that it's not acceptable, that we don't tolerate racism, that we really have to respect people for their differences. It isn't as easy to say that everyone is treated equally. We have to treat each other respectfully and take into consideration the differences that we all have, the cultural differences, the color of skin and whatnot. So I think every day whenever I'm every day whenever I'm faced with it, or we hear about it in the news, I'm constantly explaining to my children that we have to do better as a society when we're talking about other groups of people.